Good day everyone! Our topic for today is all about Edsa People Power Revolution 1 and prepared by the leader Elijah Tabon and the members are J.Ann Sapngad, Jessa Maybidad, Leanne Santos, Marvelyn Ulit, Maricar Sumibkay, Shane Ira Tagaban, Crystal Iris Sahagon, Clarissa Tumawaw, and Cyril Joyce Rosales.
What happened during Edsa Revolution? 1986, Edsa People Power Revolution gathered millions of Filipinos from all walks of life to march. The People Power Revolution, also known as the Edsa Revolution or the February Revolution, was a series of popular demonstrations in the Philippines, mostly in Metro Manila, from February 20 to 25, 1986. There was a sustained campaign of civil resistance against regime, violence, and electoral fraud. The non-violent revolution led to the departure of Ferdinand Marcos, the end of his 20-year dictatorship, and the restoration of democracy in the Philippines. It is also referred to as the Yellow Revolution due to the presence of yellow ribbons during demonstrations as a symbol of protest following the assassination of Filipino Senator Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr. in August 1983 upon his return to the Philippines from exile. It was widely seen as a victory of the people against 2 decades of presidential rule by President Marcos and made news headlines as the revolution that surprised the world.
Epifanio de los Santos Avenue, February 22 to 25, 1986, where the majority of the demonstrations took place on a long stretch. Cardinal Jaime Sim, Archbishop of Manila, Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, President Cardinal Ricardo Vidal, Archbishops of Cebu. They involve over 2 million Filipino civilians as well as several political and military groups and religious groups. The protests, fueled by the resistance and opposition from years of governance by President Marcos and his cronies, culminated with the ruler and his family Malacanang Palace to be forced exiled with the help of the US by flying the family away from the Philippines and to Hawaii.
Dictatorship. Dictatorship is against democracy, so in 1986, the Filipino people without freedom were angry when the dictator President Marcos remained in power. There was an uprising within 4 days of the People Power Revolution.
In February 23, 1986, inspired by the call of Jaime Cardinal Sin, the Filipino people, even more people came to Edsa and supported the call to assassinate Marcos, and there also came the military in war tanks.
So on February 24, 1986, Marcos' country threatened to attack, and the number of people revolting against his administration continued to grow until the last day of the revolution came. So as the times goes by, parami ng parami ang mga bilang ng mga tao against his administration. That's why hindi nila itinuloy ang kanilang plano to attack.
At February 25, 1986, Jose Antonio Custodio said that the people increased in number, that there was no turning back anymore, and it became crucial. The military started crumbling one after the other, started defending towards the Ram Coast. As the people numbers increased, the impossibility of Marcos doing anything also decreased. Prof. Ed Garcia, one of the framers of the 1987 Constitution, with the white flag and Armalites, he thought that this was turning point because the soldiers said that to him.
The last hours of dictatorship. Due to the strength of the force of the Filipino people supporting the revolution, the sun does not seem to have risen for Marcos. The next day at 3:30 a.m., the planned attack of Marcos' camp on Camp Crame was at 5 o'clock a.m., President Marcos decided to take at least the seat following the notification of his wife and former First Lady Imelda Marcos. But almost 5:30 later, he gave a go signal to his family that they will leave Malacanang that day. At 8 o'clock a.m., Cory Aquino's camp prepares at the Club Filipino in San Juan for the inauguration as the newly elected president at 10 o'clock a.m. People there are on the lookout in case Marcos' camp attacks them and prevents the inauguration. At 10:46 a.m., Cory Aquino arrived and was sworn in as president by Senior Justice Claudio Tijanqui, and Senator Salvador Laurel was appointed vice president. And Marcos changed his mind on that time on leaving the palace, also preparing for his own inauguration at the ceremonial hall of Malacanang.
Marcos at 11:55 a.m. was also sworn in as president, but its live coverage was cut while it was taking place. It was learned that the transmitters of government channels were fired at the same time in response to using a movie camera to capture its inauguration to the presidency of Chief Justice Ramon Aquino, after which Marcos came out of the balcony and showed himself to his supporters. Johnsonio Custodio said there was one last rallying effort that Marcos did when we know the Falcon thing and racing and there have a child, they are all worried. At 3 p.m., conflict flared up on both sides, but democracy and people power continue to prevail.
Around 4:30 p.m., U.S. Bridge General Ted Allen in Malacanang told the Marcos family to use American helicopters or ships to leave Malacanang, but Marcos said he would rather die at the palace. Marcos called Enrile to get used to communicating with the idea of leaving Malacanang, but the family started to moving out. Around 6 o'clock p.m. when the president was finally allowed to leave Malacanang. And 7 o'clock p.m. in Malacanang, the luggage of the Marcos families has been loaded onto boats and the Pangarap golf course have been prepared where helicopters will pick up the Marcos family. At 8:40 p.m., convoys guard the passage of the Marcos family. One by one, the helicopter took the family and their once allies on board. Then, at 9:05 p.m., the first helicopter left Malacanang. Almost an hour later, the Marcos family arrived at the Clark Air Base, but they were greeted by the shots of Aquino supporters. 9:52 p.m., they announced on the radio that the Marcos would permanently leave the country. And after that, the Filipinos entered Malacanang where the remains of the Marcos were exposed. At this point, every Filipino winner has confirmed democracy and people power has made history.
The effect of the Edsa Revolution to the Filipinos and the world. The same was attempted in China way back 1989, which resulted in horrific repercussions. They tried to do human barricades to stop tanks, but the protesters were run over by them, resulting in the death of many. The Edsa Revolution served as the model for peaceful revolts around the world. It was the first ever act to do oath a leadership that didn't require gunfight.
Resources. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.